Hello viewers and learners, a very warm welcome to all of you in this episode of the Culture Quantum. This episode is based on your today's paper, that is 16th of June UPSC Civil Services Prelims paper. So prima facie looking at the paper is easier than the past papers which has been there in 2023, 22, 21. So expect the cutoff will rise. Can't say exactly right now, but then by the evening it will be figured out that what will be the possible cutoff. Moving ahead to the history section, which includes ancient, medieval, modern and so as art and culture. So total 12 questions have come from this particular section in this year paper. Last year 13 questions were there. So a question is less in this year paper. As far as the subdivision is concerned, there are 6 questions from art and culture, 1 question from the medieval history, 1 question from the ancient history and 4 questions from the modern Indian history. And I'm elated to say this thing, that those short videos of 20 minutes which we created for your revision, thankfully there are the topics which are asked in the paper. So for example, Garba, Hoysala Complex, Santi Niketan and Government of India Act 1935. Garba dance of Gujarat, Hoysaleswar Temple, Government of India Act 1935.
गौतम बुद्ध का जन्म शाक्य वंश में,
that is Santi Niketan. Whatever you have studied all around the year, and in the last week you went through the videos of the important topics and you are able to solve 4 questions. So we need your further support for mains exam also and upcoming exams also, so that we can further help you and we can further predict more important topics in the upcoming exams. So let's begin with the solution of the history and art and culture question. So for sake of your information, I am starting with the question number 54, which was the first question of history, art and culture in the sequence A or set A. So the very first question is about the epithets which were given to the Gautam Buddha and options which were given Nayaputta, Tathagat and Sakya Muni. So it's an easy question, and those who have been in my classes, they know that Tathagat and Sakya Muni was the name of the Buddha. So he belonged to the Sakya clan, he was called as Sakya Muni, and the meaning of the Tathagat is thus he came and thus he went, the enlightened one. So this is epithet which is given to the Buddha. Nayaputta is the epithet which was given to the Vardhaman Mahavir, not to the Buddha. So in this particular question, the correct answer is 2 and 3 and option B is correct for you. Moving on to next question, that is question number 55. And this question is basically from the ancient India. And here the sites are given. Moreover, these are the sites which are basically the megalithic site or the sites from the ancient India, and you need to correctly match the name of the place and then also the state detail which is given and so as the description. So let's look at the very first one. So the first is archaeological site of the Chandraketu Gad. The state which is given is Odisha, and moreover description is the trading port town. So Chandraketu Gad is not in Odisha and it is not a port town, and it is basically in West Bengal, and it is very closer to the Basirhat and also not very far from the Calcutta. The next site which has been mentioned is Inam Gaon from Maharashtra, and the description Chalcolithic site. It's a correct option that Inam Gaon is in Maharashtra and it is a Chalcolithic site, which is basically after the end of the Indus Valley civilization. The third site which has been mentioned is Mangadu, and the state which is given Kerala, and the description of the site is megalithic. So this is a right option. Original name of the Mangadu is Mangavadu, and it is located closer to the Astamudi Kayal or Astamudi Lake in Kerala, and it is a megalithic site. But then once you are trying to find out the answer of this site, you might be confused because there is a one more site located closer to Chennai, and the name of that site is also Mangadu, but that's not a megalithic site. So it's clearly telling you about the Kerala site though the name originally mentioned on the archaeology department is Mangavatu, but some places it is also mentioned Mangadu. So it is a right match which is given in this particular description. Moving on to the next site, that is Salihundam, and the state which is mentioned Andhra, and the description is rock cut cave shrines. In this there are two descriptions which are correct, but the last one is not correct. Salihundam is a Buddhist site in Andhra, that is correct, but then it is not a rock cut cave shrine. The word that you have to put emphasis is the cave shrine. It is not a cave shrine, and basically at this place there are Buddhist stupas and Mahaviharas. So it is not a rock cut cave shrine, it is a stupa site. So this is a wrong option. So only 2 and 3 are correct. Moving on to question number 56. It has been asked that which of the Indian ruler gave permission to the Portuguese to create a fort at Bhatkal, which is situated in Karnataka. So the correct option is, it is Raja Krishnadeva Raya, who in 1510 gave permission to the Portuguese viceroy Albuquerque to create a fort at Bhatkal. Coming to question number 57. This question is from modern India and it is based on the land revenue settlements. I hope that you all must be remembering in the classes that I am emphasizing on it from very long time, that from last 3-4 years there hasn't been a question on land revenue settlement, and it will be asked this year, and I am happy that it was the right prediction that this year the question has come. So the question is, with reference to revenue collection by Cornwallis, consider the following statement. So the very first option which is given, under the Rayatwadi settlement of revenue collection, peasants were exempted from paying the taxes if they face natural calamity or bad harvest. Though it's a right statement in regard to Rayatwadi settlement, but not right in regard to the question, because in question it has been asked revenue collection by Cornwallis, and Rayatwadi settlement was not initiated by Cornwallis but by Thomas Munro. So it will not be a right option in this question. So in permanent settlement this provision was not there, but then this provision was included in Rayatwadi. Moving on to second statement, it says, under the permanent settlement in Bengal, if a zamindar is not able to pay the taxes or revenue on the prefixed date, so then it will lead to snatching of his land ownership right or zamindari right. It's a right option. And in fact, this particular provision was called as sunset clause. So on a fixed date, if the jamindar is not able to pay the revenue, his land ownership will be snatched and it will be bidded to somebody else. This is how the British got right to create a new class of zamindar. So the correct answer of this question is only the permanent provision, that is only statement 2 is correct, not the statement 1. Moving on to the next question, that is question number 58 of set A. So the very first statement which is mentioned, that there are no parables in Upanishad, and the second statement says that Upanishads were composed earlier than the Puranas. So let's look at the first statement, which is correct and which is not correct. First statement is not correct. Why so? The first statement says that there were no parables in Upanishad. And if you are ever confused, please remember, I always say in the classes that please look at the Hindi version also. And in Hindi version, what is mentioned? Niti Katha. So do you believe that there was no Niti Katha in Upanishad? It is actually not right then. So there are, Upanishads are full of the Niti Katha only. And what is Niti Katha? Full of the ethical values. So for example, if we talk about some of the very popular words from the Upanishads, so for example, Satyameva Jayate, is it not a Niti Katha? So this is a wrong option. And there are n number of the examples that you can bring at this point of time. Let's move on to the second statement. Second statement is, Upanishads were composed earlier than the Puranas. That's a right option. Upanishads composition happened during the later Vedic period and before the emergence of the Mahajanpadas. As far as the Puranas are concerned, they also hold a very important position in Hinduism, and their composition majorly happened during the Gupta age, particularly in the 4th and the 5th century AD. So in this question, only statement 2 is correct and option B is correct in the OMR seat. So the next question, question number 60. UPSC has asked, which one of the following has been recently included in UNESCO Cultural Intangible Heritage List? And it's a very easy, and we incorporated in our quick revision videos also, that is Garba. Garba dance of Gujarat is the latest addition to UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage of the Humanity. So I hope you all must have not done any mistake on it, and then you must have corrected it. It's an easy question. Coming to the question number 61, which is from modern Indian history and related to the historical background of the Indian Constitution. So what is the question? So the question is, who was the provisional president of Constituent Assembly before Rajendra Prasad took over? So the correct option is Sachidanand Sinha. It's an easy question, and if you have studied any of the historical background book, so you can easily solve it. 9th of December, Sachidanand Sinha, who was the eldest member of the Constituent Assembly, he was chosen as the provisional president. So on 11th of December, Dr. Rajendra Prasad was chosen president of Constituent Assembly. Moving on to next question, that is question number 62. It has asked that which of the following statement is correct in relation to Government of India Act 1935. So the very first statement, what it says Government of India provided for the establishment of a federation comprising of British ruled Indian provinces and princely states. It's a correct option, and I hope none of you will be making a mistake in it. So finally, Government of India Act 1935. The provisions of the Government of India Act 1935. The second statement, defense and foreign affairs were kept under the control of federal legislature. Now you have to be very careful in this regard. This question is easy, and then I have also covered in the important topics. It's a fact that there will be a question from the acts and commissions, and that's how this question has come. So the second statement, you have to understand that in 1935, diarchy was introduced at center, which means two authorities. So one authority, Governor General with Executive Council, and Governor General Legislative Council. Apart from it, the subjects were divided into reserved and transferred. And in the reserved subject, foreign affairs and defense was kept, which was controlled by Governor General through his Executive Council. And as far as the federal legislature is concerned, it had upper house and lower house. They had nothing to do with this defense and foreign affairs. So the second statement is incorrect. Only one statement, that is statement number 1, is correct. So effectively, the answer is A, 1 only. Moving on to question number 63. It has been asked that which one of the following text is associated with the playwright Bhasa? And the correct answer is Madhyam Vyayog. But when you look at the other options which are given, Natya Sastra, I hope you must be remembering Bharat Muni's Natya Sastra, dance, drama and music. And another option which is given is basically Mahabhashya. So Mahabhashya was written by Patanjali, and it was commentary on Padini's Astadhyayi. So here you eliminate these two options, you are left with 2, and then you can take a risk over here, at least in this question. So the correct answer is Madhyam Vyayog. So moving on to the next question, that is question number 64. And I would say this was the most difficult question of this year paper, and I would also say it will create some sort of confusion in the UPSC market. So what has been asked in this particular question? Sanghabhuti, who was a Buddhist monk, by the end of the 4th century AD, he traveled to China and he wrote commentaries on one of the following texts which is mentioned. So the text is Pran Paramita Sutra, Visuddhi Mag, Sravastivada Vinay and Lalit Vistar. So let's discuss this question further. When you're trying to find out that who was Sanghabhuti, Sanghabhuti was a Buddhist monk who visited China in between 380 to 384 AD, and he wrote commentaries on Sravastivada Vinay. On the other hand, Pran Paramita Sutra was written by Kumar Jeev, and Buddha Ghosh was the writer of Visuddhimagga, and Lalit Vistar is the textbook of, or basically holy textbook of, Mahayana Buddhism. So the next question, number 65. The question is related to UNESCO tangible heritage site and those sites which were recognized or which were inscribed in the UNESCO heritage list in year 2023. So this also we have covered, dear learners. So one is the Shantiniketan and another is the Hoysala temple. Let's start the series with the first temple, Hoysaleswar temple. UNESCO tangible cultural heritage site which was recently included in the list from India, and that is Shantiniketan. So the Hoysala temple is a separate video that you must have seen, and in the beginning of the video itself we have maintained that 3 Hoysala sacred ensemble were included in the UNESCO list, that is Hoysaleswar temple and Channakeswar temple of Beluru and also Channakeswar temple of Somnathpura. So in this particular question the answer is Shantiniketan and the Hoysala sacred ensemble. Both were incorporated in 2023. Moving on to question number 73. It's a question from the modern Indian history and the pairs are given. You have to identify the correct pairs. So the name of the personality and so as the parties with which they were associated. So the very first personality who has been mentioned, Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, and association with the Bharatiya Jan Sangh. It's a correct option. Then moving on to the next personality is C. Rajagopalachari and the party which has been mentioned in front of his name, Socialist Party, which is a wrong option, and he was associated with Indian National Congress. Then comes the name of Jagjeevan Ram and the party Congress for Democracy. That's a right option. This party was created in 1977 and soon after he also became the part of the Janata Dal. So that's a right option. So moving on to fourth, Acharya Narendra Dev and the party which is mentioned, Swatantra Party. He was not associated with the Swatantra Party and his association was Congress Socialist Party, with which JP Narayan was also associated. So this is not a difficult question, and coming to the answer of this question, only 2 pairs are correct, which is Shyama Prasad Mukherjee and so is Jagjeevan Ram, and rest of the 2 options are incorrect. So only 2 is correct in this particular question. So I hope this elaborate discussion on the history and art and culture question will help you, and moreover I would request to you that no matter whatever marks that you are going to get or you will be calculating by today's night, please don't stop. Even if your marks are less, please keep on preparing for the mains examination, and if your marks are good, obviously you don't need to waste any time. We will further come up with the important topics in the mains examination of this year and so as all the exams to come which is important for you. So till then, stay connected to Culture Quantum and please do not forget to share, subscribe, like and comment on channel Culture Quantum. Thank you.